THA's Secretary of Finance and the Economy, Joel Jack, has presented a $5 billion budget for the 2017-2018 fiscal year. The presentation, which lasted exactly 2 hours, was basically a wish list for the central government in hope that they will give the THA the amount for which it is asking when Finance Minister Colm Imbert presents the national budget in about 4 months. The Finance Secretary spoke about the key areas to focus by the THA for the next fiscal year. Patricia Nicholson has the details.
Unleashing the creative and productive capacity of all people. That was the theme of Joel Jack's THA budget estimate presentation. The estimates were focused on 11 key areas, which included building economic resilience, fostering innovation and creativity, supporting the tourism industry, revitalizing the agricultural sector, developing the human capital, providing housing opportunities, and enhancing healthcare delivery. Among the 9 divisions within the THA, the Division of Health, Wellness and Family Development had the largest budget estimate of $794.1 million. Mr. Jack said although the budget was being read at a time when the country was faced with serious economic challenges, he's optimistic that Tobago will see growth in its economy with the projects outlined for fiscal 2018. The figures disaggregated for the various assembly divisions were Office of the Chief Secretary, $227.5 million, Finance and the Economy, $184 million, Tourism, Culture and Transportation, $355.4 million, Education, Innovation and Energy, $498.1 million, Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labor, $110.9 million, Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment, $539.5 million, Food Production, Forestry and Fisheries, $324.9 million, Health, Wellness and Family Development, $794.1 million, Settlements, Urban Renewal and Public Utilities, $35.3 million, and Sport and Youth Affairs, $99.8 million. Mr. Jack said the recurrent estimates for 2018 was $3.2 billion, while the development program estimates for fiscal 2018 amount to $1.71 billion, a decrease of $330.59 million from fiscal 2017 requests to the central government. Also included in the estimates for 2018 were the provisions for URP and CPEP, totaling $77.2 million and $54 million, respectively.
Building on the foundation established over the last 16 years, I can say without the fear of contradiction that this island is poised for greater economic activity. As we seek to address our current and emerging challenges, our success will depend on reasoned collaboration, mutual trust, and reliance on our sense of patriotism.
In its last fiscal budget, the THA had requested just about the same amount, but only received $2.354 billion from the central government. I'm Patricia Nicholson for C News.
And while the Finance Secretary made mention of the air and sea bridge problems affecting Tobago's economy, the business community felt it wasn't enough. THA Chief Secretary Calvin Charles, however, had some words of assurance for Tobagonians on the matter. Patricia Nicholson tells us more.
Secretary of Finance and the Economy Joel Jack, during his budget presentation, said there are many things hampering Tobago's economic development, among them the inefficiencies in the inter-island air and sea bridges. He admitted that residents as well as the business community have been adversely affected by the recent interruptions on the sea bridge.
We view the situation as unfortunate and untenable, and we acknowledge it has continued for far too long. The Assembly has been in close and constant discussions with the Minister of Works, and Transport, and the Board of the Port Authority, and I would like to inform this Honourable House that a solution to the current situation is imminent.
The Finance Secretary is also working with Caribbean Airlines to ensure more flights are added to the domestic route. Speaking to the media following the budget presentation, Chief Secretary Calvin Charles said 2 vessels would be in Tobago in time for the busy season. But Chairman of the Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Demijohn Cruikshank, wasn't satisfied with the statement by the Finance Secretary on the seabridge problems.
I was hoping that the Secretary would have come in the House today and said to us that a boat is available, this is the name of the boat, and the boat will be here by the end of the month and it's going to be in use. I am a little disappointed because we cannot no longer go with whatever the central government. They have made a number of promises that has not stood up to us and come to fruition, and I was hoping today that the Secretary would have announced that there was a boat available, because that is what is really and truly hampering and hurting the business community and the economy of Tobago.
2 vessels, and in time for the busy season. That assurance I give you.
Mr. Charles said the government is in its final stages of acquiring the new vessels to service the inter-island route. I'm Patricia Nicholson for C News.
THA Secretary of Finance and the Economy, Joel Jack, joins us now from our Tobago studios to tell us a little bit more about the 2017-2018 fiscal package. Good evening, Mr. Jack. Your budget estimate is $4.9 billion. How confident are you that central government will grant the THA's request?
Hi, good evening, Mahalia, and good evening to all of Tobago and all of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm very confident in the fiscal package outlined earlier today, outlining in detail the Tobago House of Assembly's fiscal package for 2018. And while historically we would have been funded with approximately 85% on the recurrent side and approximately 20% of our requests on the development program side, what we are looking for is greater collaboration with central government as we seek alternative funding mechanisms to accelerate this island's pace of economic development.
In your budgetary estimates, a total of $355 million was allocated to tourism, culture and transportation. Why wasn't the allocation larger given the importance of these areas to Tobago's economy?
No, let me say that we are working closely with the stakeholders and in terms of coming up with solutions to treat with the tourism industry. You also might recall in my budget statement that we outlined in detail some urgent measures to address the current challenges in the tourism industry, and as well that we are working on the development of a tourism development agency. That was outlined in detail in the budget, and we are hoping that the measures that the agencies that they come up with will augur well for the tourism sector moving forward.
And I know, Mr. Jack, you might have been listening to our story played before, but the business community feels that you didn't adequately address the air and sea bridge problems. What would you say to Tobagonians tonight about what is a critical, about that which is a critical matter to them?
Well, I stand by my statement that was issued earlier today in the House, that the situation is unfortunate and untenable. The Chief Secretary and myself, we have been in close communications with the Minister of Works and Transport and the Board of the Port, and they have given us the assurance that they are working to ameliorate the current situation. The Chief Secretary also outlined, he gave some additional information that 2 vessels will be acquired by the port, and the Board of the Port and the Minister will be making an announcement soon once the details are finalized. And let me say that both the air and sea bridge, it's something that we have to find a solution towards working on something that could address the needs of both Trinidad and both Tobago. And we have to treat with the issues relating to the domestic economy, especially the impact on tourism. And given the fact that the air and sea bridge, they are essential services and should be treated with that. I have also been in discussions with the Minister of Finance, and we're also looking at treating with the issues on the air bridge. So I am hopeful, given the close working relationship and the new respect of the Tobago House of Assembly by the central government, that a number of these issues and challenges that we're facing will be dealt with in the near future. I always remind persons that it was a People's National Movement government that first introduced the fast ferries, and I remember when they were introduced, persons indicated that it would not work. So I'm hopeful that we will come up with an innovative solution that all persons resident in Tobago and as well as Trinidad will be happy with.
Thank you so much. We were just speaking with THA Secretary of Finance and the Economy. Sickening and painful, that's how Minority Leader of the THA, Watson Duke, described Thursday's budget presentation by Finance Secretary Joel Jack.
It was clear to us that the budget is against the working class. When you look at the revenue to be generated from income taxes, it is a decrease of about $50 million. Now, if income tax reduced to $50 million, we are concerned about that.
He said cuts have been made to some integral areas, namely the Employment Relief Program and the Division of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labor. Minority member Farley Augustine said much of what was presented by Finance Secretary for Tobago's developments have been heard before.
A plethora of failed and false-started promises. This has been our 5th consecutive budget under Secretary Jack, and it's our 5th consecutive budget with poor economic analysis. It's our 5th consecutive budget whereby we are seeing gargantuan sums being allocated to current expenditure and significantly less towards development spending.
He said it seems as though the current THA executive doesn't have a strategic plan to move Tobagonians away from their dependency on the THA and foster a thriving private sector. The minority said it would go more in depth with its analysis of the budget during the debate in the chamber next Tuesday.